What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we have a lot of news. We got sports betting news, we have MLFB news, and we have a lot of USFL news to get through. So let's go ahead and get started right with the sports betting news. It has come out that DraftKings will be having betting for the USFL. Now, there's no details. We don't know exactly what states that you can bet in or really any lines or anything like that right now, but they are going to be having betting for the USFL. So if you're into that thing, you will have that for the first games. They'll have it ready for the first games on April 16th. Now, moving over to the MLFB, and if you've been paying attention to them, they are still planning on having a season come spring of 2022. That's right. Right here and right now, we are in March, so technically spring is just around the corner, and so it's going to be really interesting to see what's happening, but they've been picking up their pace with giving us information, and they just finished their equipment divvying up. They had all of their equipment managers, all of their equipment people go through their big warehouse and divvy up all of that equipment into the different pools for all of the 8 teams that we're going to have. We have absolutely no clue what teams those will be, where they will be playing, what the names of them are, but they are going to be having a league in 2022. So keep your fingers crossed. We could have 2 different leagues that we could be covering this spring, which is nuts, which is crazy, and I love it. But be paying attention to the MLFB because, they're very serious and calculated about the way that they do things. This isn't anything to be scoffing at or anything like that. They've been very calculated about the way that they've done things. And remember, they bought all of the old AAF stuff up. So that's what they were divvying up for all of the 8 teams. We'll see what happens. They've been releasing things fairly regularly. So over the past week, we've gotten about 3 different updates from them. And so you definitely want to check them out and start paying attention to them because I think that they're ramping up things. Now, whether or not they'll get on the field, I'm still a little skeptical whether or not they're going to actually end up playing any ball. But it definitely is pretty cool to see that this is happening, and I'm kind of excited for it. So, without further ado, let's start going into the USFL information that we found out. And we found out that they're going to be having a scouting combine on the 19th and the 20th of March. Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, wait, Tyler, I thought they just had a draft and that they were doing a supplemental draft on the 10th of March. Well, they are, but this is more of a tryout. Now, we know that their spring training is going to start, or their training camp is going to start on March 21st. So it's right there. So you can go down to Birmingham, you can try out, and if they like you, they'll sign you to a contract, and you can end up right there in training camp, which is kind of a cool thing. But yeah, it's just a weird, convoluted thing. You would think that they would have had this before the draft, and definitely before the supplemental draft. But I don't know. Anyway, speaking of the supplemental draft, let's go ahead and let's move on to talking about something out of that because we have some more information on players, and it has been kind of leaked that Brandon Silvers has signed with the USFL. And if you ask me, this is a good thing. Why is this a good thing? Because Brandon Silvers, he is a guy who is no stranger to the alternative spring football leagues. He played in the AAF with Memphis. He played with the Dragons and the XFL. He played in the spring league with the Conquerors. And he actually has spent time with NFL teams. He was, signed briefly with the Jets, I believe. So this is a guy who has been around a lot of places, and he's played football at the highest levels with that. I think he fits in really well here. And it was interesting the way that they, they've said it is that, he's going to be in the supplemental draft and he'll be probably allocated to a team. And I would imagine that that's probably going to be it because he wasn't really available when they were drafting. And I would think that some of those teams would probably have picked him as their first pick had he been available. I mean, this is a guy who, came in, showed real promise in the AAF, got signed with the Jets, got released, went into the XFL, was the allocated first quarterback for the Dragons. Didn't play the greatest, got benched, and then went into the spring league for 2021 and tore it up in the spring league. Played phenomenal, fantastic football in the spring league, and I would kind of figure that he probably would do the same thing here. It looks like he's a guy who's starting to figure it out, and I think that he could be a real good threat in this league to be one of the better quarterbacks in this league. So I'm kind of excited to see where he ends up, where he lands, and if he'll take any one of these people's spots, kind of like Josh Johnson did when he signed with the XFL and, pretty much pushed Luis Perez out of there, and that's how he ended up in New York. And I would not be surprised if this very thing kind of happens again with one of these quarterbacks with him, especially since what he did with the spring league. So let's move on to the big, crazy, stupid thing that's been happening, and that is really the USFL lawsuit. Hold on to your hats, everyone, because this is going to be a long and bumpy ride. So pretty much what we have found that now, with pretty much about a month and a half left to go before the season starts on April 16th, the original owners of the, what do they call themselves? The real USFL LLC are now, pretty much, they've pretty much set up a lawsuit. They're suing the USFL for pretty much stealing their intellectual property, using their intellectual property, and the renown of the USFL name to build up this new USFL that has nothing to do with it. And this was kind of one of those things where things were just coming out and they were all just boom, 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 boom. What is this? What does this mean? I mean, it sounds legit that what they've got here and what they're claiming, and that with it. And I've just been kind of pumping the brakes with it and trying to take it all in. Now, we do know, kind of what's transpired. We do know that that Fox kind of had talks with this group back a while ago. Things didn't go well, and Fox pretty much said, we're done here. And that was kind of that. And now they are back, and they filed a lawsuit in California federal court. And, now the XFL has changed. Sorry, the USFL, they're stating that, they've made some changes because they know that they don't own the intellectual property. And a lot of this is, getting into positioning and things like that. And that they want the court to pretty much to tell the USFL that they have to stop, that they can't play their season, starting in April. And, when I first saw this, I kind of was thinking, my first thought in my head was, oh Lord, here we go. Another failed league. It's like, what is it? We can have umpteen bazillion different professional soccer leagues, but we try to get a second professional football league and everything falls all over the place. I mean, we have one that's very successful, and a pandemic comes up and takes it down. And now we have this one where, we have an old spring league is now being, resurrected, and they're going to be killed by the same entity that they used to be. I mean, you can't make this kind of craziness up, but when there's money to be made, people come out of the woodworks, and that's what I see here. That's what I was smelling, and it seems to be that that's probably the case. And so the lawyers for the real USFL group, they kind of put their stuff out there yesterday, and now the lawyers that are representing the Fox Sports Group have now responded. And pretty much, they're pretty much setting things straight, and I think that this is going to end up not working out well for that group. I don't think that they're really going to get anything. But let's go ahead and let's read through some of the statements here. So this was the lawsuit. What the lawsuit is claiming by the real USFL. Fox is trying to reap where it did not sow and profit from confusion among fans for the real USFL by claiming the legacy of something it didn't build. Now this is Nicholas Matich of the McCool Smith law firm, who is representing the real USFL LLC. The real USFL is acting to protect the legacy of the players, owners, and coaches and staff of the historic league. Quite simply, Fox is claiming to be something that it is not, an heir of the 1980s league that launched numerous Hall of Fame careers and changed the game of football. And listen, you've seen the facts that have been out there. You've seen they had a 30 for 30. That they've been making money off of, the selling of the USFL stuff for quite a long time. In that way. However, the interesting thing here is the statement that, that Fox, their representation makes. And this is what they said. The lawsuit filed yesterday by an entity formed just a week ago is completely without merit. The new USFL registered its intellectual property rights in 2011 and is excited to launch games on schedule on April 16th. The 11th hour attempt to extract value from the exciting new USFL is utterly frivolous, and we are exploring all options for redress. And pretty much that is kind of where I think it is. I mean, if you've followed the USFL, you know that they've trademarked all of the team names and all of the logos and everything that they have so far. I don't see this going anywhere in court. And if anything does happen, I don't see it slowing anything down. I think Fox is too large for this group to be, coming and doing this. I think that this is a quick money grab from them, to get some money, to make a little bit of money, to kind of hush them up and get some type of a settlement out of it. I doubt that's going to happen. I don't think Fox is planning on going that route with it. I think Fox is going to pretty much just fight this going on with what they're doing. And I would say that with the way that this is coming out, literally like 6 weeks before we're supposed to be having games, I think that, it pretty much shows that this is what their intent is. Their intent has nothing to do with, anything of trying to, make sure that Fox isn't making money off of their intellectual property. They're actually trying to make money off of what Fox is doing in the excitement around this league. And they see the potential that's there, and they're trying to make money off of it. And so it's actually kind of, if you ask me, it's kind of a little bit of the opposite of, they're saying what Fox is trying to do, but I think that they're trying to make money off of Fox in the same regards. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with things, with it. We'll see as this thing, kind of plays out and where it goes from here. But I don't think it goes anywhere. It smelled bad from the start, and it still does. I mean, you can look at the stuff online if you want to get down into the nitty gritty of it, but that's pretty much it with it. And, I think that we're pretty safe where we're at right now, that we're going to get some football come April 16th. And then the MLFB, we're going to get them sometime here soon. I'm excited for that. Let me know down in the comments section if you're excited for some spring football. Looks like we're going to be having 2 different leagues coming up here soon. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.